Well, that's it. That's a wrap on Apple TV Plus's The Morning Show with Season 2, Episode 10. They finished it off with a pretty strong episode. In this video, I'll recap and review this season's final episode, sharing spoilers alongside my thoughts and feelings, but I want to hear your opinions too. How are you feeling about how this episode went and therefore how the season played out? A lot to think about as we explore The Morning Show Season 2 finale, Episode 10, Fever. The episode opens with TV star Bradley handing out posters rather than using her platform to look for her missing brother Hal, as all the celebs do. Daniel, hosting the morning show, announces that Alex is taking a personal day and that they've heard the outcry about her going to Italy, defending the surreptitiously filmed footage. And I predicted it was likely to be Fred, but this is just one of the many story threads that doesn't actually go anywhere this episode. And then we're in a boardroom meeting for Sybil's only scene. Waste! I'd hoped for so much more for Holland Taylor, and she definitely didn't disappoint, but it's like having a firework in a scene and not lighting it. We learn that UBA Plus is launching on March the 11th amidst a series of publicity events, even including Tom Hanks. Sybil, though, wants to postpone them and launch later because of COVID. We see the iceberg. It doesn't make you brave to steer the ship right into it, she says. We're not the Titanic, Sybil. We're not a luxury liner across the Atlantic. We're a rocket ship to the moon, okay? Corey responds. But we also hear that stock prices have dropped. Corey counters that they have across the board. Sybil says it's worse for them. So the iceberg is pretty close. And is there an implication that Alex has affected the stock price? It's certainly clear that Sybil is not happy with Alex, the feminist hero, particularly because she might have brought COVID into the building after visiting Italy. Alex calls Stella to confirm her diagnosis and to speak about something else, but Stella has what she needs and hangs up on Alex. Alex's shock at being hung up on, which I doubt happens to her very often, was a nice touch. But what was the other thing she wanted to say? Maybe we'll find out in season 3. Mia is sent to tell the cast and the crew of the show that someone has COVID and to send them home for safety. Everyone is furious and they know it's Alex. But Ty, he says people are asking the wrong questions. Do we not want to wonder if Alex is going to be okay? And it does seem he is the only one concerned. If Alex is being cancelled, it is starting with the TMS crew, who literally don't seem to care if she lives or dies. As everyone trickles out, Stella tells Daniel that he will be anchoring the show for a few weeks, but he says he needs to go to see his grandfather in LA, that he needs to avoid aeroplanes and hotels, so he has to drive and sleep in his car. He asks her to imagine how safe that is for a black man. Stella says they need him to stay. It's an opportunity, a huge news story, and he has the expertise. He was in China. People need the news now. Stella is desperate. And it makes me wish even more that we knew what was said in the dressing room between them all those weeks ago. Daniel points at his phone. This is the news, okay? Everyone's carrying around the news. We're just the news for people who have too much time. Stella changes tactics and just tells Daniel that he is under contract, but he quits. And it's so drama. This is one of the plot lines that really does develop, and it has a character impact. It just doesn't really have a wider impact on the world of the show. It doesn't set any dominoes off. But finally, we have some resolve, an outcome of that awkward story thread that looked like it was going nowhere. It didn't even make my prediction video, so I'd basically forgotten about it. And I loved seeing Daniel taking control and turning Stella down when she needs him most. But is he cutting off his nose to spite his face? What do you think? Corey is in another meeting about UBA Plus. This must be really going somewhere. It's been there all season and featured twice already in this episode. Then Stella arrives and, through a series of notes, tells Corey that Alex has COVID. Corey figures that she has been back from Italy for nearly 14 days, and if she contracted COVID in the States, that makes her an unlucky grieving woman who deserves our sympathy. Is that what we, the viewers, think about Alex, wherever she contracted COVID? There is a lot of screaming and frantic energy in this scene. Corey and Stella haven't a clue what to do or what's going on, and that feels pretty realistic to me when I think back to those very early COVID days. We cut to Alex crawling around her apartment, literally crawling. I honestly do not know if Alex is being overdramatic or not. This episode has a lot of time devoted to showing Alex struggling with her symptoms. She's clearly very isolated, but her dog appears out of a lift having been returned by Chip. Yes, her dog rides a private elevator by itself in an episode where she's described as an everyman. How's your dog elevator? Bradley ignores a phone call from Laura, and the writers have basically ignored their entire relationship this episode. I wonder if Juliana Margulies not being in the final episode was intentional or a COVID filming restriction issue, which I suspect had quite a big impact on this season in general, but she certainly felt like a missing piece. In my prediction video, I thought that Bradley would be caught between some dilemma between her and Hal, but the writers fully plumbed for Bradley to be Team Hal, which is a shame as the fans are certainly #BradleyLaura. And that is because we know Laura and we do not know Hal. Even though he's been in 2 seasons, his character is essentially brother with addiction problems. Alex calls Chip and says, "I'm gonna die, I don't want to be alone." She struggles to speak, so they FaceTime and just look at each other. Why are these two so drawn to each other after hating each other so much in the last episode? I saw someone on Twitter saying they wanted them to get together, and I would really not want that. I think their codependency is toxic, and I think the writers are playing more into that than romance. I hope. Bradley is now on the phone to the police, and in the background, Yanko is presenting the news, so that is the impact of Daniel leaving. Poor Yanko is reduced to background news presenter guy after everything he went through at the start of the season. Chip accosts Corey on the street with an idea for a TV show. Alex with COVID, live from New York City. A sort of informative look at someone the public knows who actually has COVID. Corey is not convinced as Alex is persona non grata, and he wants to hide that she's infected. They want to protect her, he says. She has COVID. She's practically cancelled. This is only going one way for her, Chip argues. And Chip believes it will help people take COVID seriously, but also give them some hope as Alex will not die. When Corey arrives at work, he's sitting in a fishbowl and he asks Stella for an hour of time for Alex's show. She says no, so he says he will put it on UBA Plus. But in doing so, he also lets slip that no one has subscribed to his new streaming service. Ooh, this UBA Plus plot is going to be huge! Chip arrives at Alex's, saying he has COVID too. Pitches her the idea for the show. She vomits. I think Aniston might have a vomit clause in her contract, as we've had one in both seasons so far. But also, she agrees to do the show despite barely hanging on. Back at UBA HQ, you might think that security had also left the building as yet another stranger without an appointment reaches high-level staff offices without being stopped. The intruder this time is Paula. She insists on 2 minutes for Corey to watch her documentary. He relents when she says, "I watched it again last night and I was blown away." I think he's pretty impressed with her cheek, and so they watch her Mitchumentary. Last year, Mitch Kessler had an audience of 6 million, it opens. In the last 2 weeks of his life, he had an audience of 1. And Corey loves it, of course, but Paula doesn't want to air that. Corey says that nothing in it changes his opinion of Mitch, but her relationship to Mitch is a testament to humanity's capacity for good. Or is she just a manic pixie dream woman? The conclusion to Paula's storyline and the Mitch interview footage is that she's willing to show it to people who can give her a job, but otherwise it's not for sale. Maybe it will be in season 3? Alex calls Bradley, interrupting her setting up her home studio and pretending she doesn't know what a ring light is. Please. Bradley Jackson has socials, as we soon see. Alex wants to thank Bradley for defending her. She didn't have to. She warned her to keep her distance, and she did the opposite. Why? Relationships don't have to be transactional, Bradley responds. I did it because we're friends. Not good ones, but important ones. Good ones isn't out of the question though. What changed? They haven't seen each other for their relationship to develop. Why are they now friends? But Bradley tells Alex about Hal. Alex tells her that families are messed up because they're made of people. And if you can't cut them off, then you have to own them. Like Bradley owned Alex and her mistakes when she interviewed Maggie. So, Bradley makes a video for socials, and I was genuinely moved by Reese Witherspoon in this moment. In this whole episode, actually. It was a different kind of rich performance than the Maggie interview. It was deeply truthful and small. And I think that's what I enjoyed. Bradley is so often big and over the top and angry, and it was nice to see inside. Alex prepares to go live on air from her apartment, and she does her own hair and makeup. She gets some kind of injection which she gives herself, and then on air she reads Chip's prepared apology to her colleagues, but adds on another apology of her own for Chip, which in turn makes him ignore his fiancée when she calls toxic. Unhealthy response from Chip, and Alex knows she has that effect on him. Or am I being too mean here? What do you think about Alex and Chip? Daniel and Mia speak on the phone, Daniel sitting in his car. This relationship is one that I really want to see developed if there is a season 3. Karen Pittman is extraordinary and Deshaun Terry is wonderful here too. You can actually feel them both let their professional guard down and speak frankly to one another. Daniel says he quit. He'd always be waiting for a seat at their table when I can make a table of my own. Mia understands but tries to convince him to come back. I get why you left the morning show, and if you come back, it's not going to get easier because the morning show is broken. She hits that is hard. And you could leave, but right now, so many people would benefit from you sitting in the chair that Alex Levy takes for granted. She says they can keep pushing, but Daniel thinks it's an empty promise of tomorrow. Tomorrow will come, says Mia optimistically. It's a really warm scene despite the pain that it includes. Their empathy is tangible. With so many plots and storylines that ended up being driven off a cliff this season, it might have been more engaging to have trimmed some down and allowed more time to nurture and grow areas like this, and then allow them to have additional impact on other characters. That could have grabbed our attention much more. We did get to see some more of Daniel this season, but at the same time, his world also seems smaller. In season 1, he had a partner who seems to have vanished, but also I feel like the show hasn't wanted to really engage with Daniel as a black gay man specifically. And by focusing on his blackness, they've reduced an element of this character. But that aside, I feel like he has really developed this season, and I'm much more keen to see where he might progress now than I probably was at the end of season 1. As for Mia, if she had a spin-off show of her own, I'd be the first person subscribed to UBA Plus to watch. Speaking of, finally, the juicy UBA Plus plot we've wanted all season. Corey finds out that Tom Hanks has COVID. Bullard won't do his events. There are too many people in one place, and so he pulls the plug on UBA Plus launch. 10 episodes of build-up about UBA Plus for nothing. That's the end of the line. Distraught, he looks at Instagram and runs to Bradley's side to help her find Hal. They go through a camp where people are sleeping on the streets, and Corey reveals a huge secret to Bradley. Not that he squandered $1 billion on UBA Plus, not his betrayal in outing her, but that he loves her. I love you. I don't know what that means, really. I love you. I want that recorded in the annals of time. I really love you. And what does that really mean? Billy Crudup in the post-show mini-doc says that Corey says it because he has a lot of feelings, and that's just what he's seen people say in movies. And what does that mean to Bradley? Not very much, apparently. A, she's got a woman, and B, she gets a phone call, and it's a nurse saying that she thinks they have Hal at her hospital. At Alex's, she is sweating and swearing live on the air, and she does a brilliant job of delivering it to camera and going on a one-woman journey through this UBA Plus home stream show, and it gives us plenty of time with Aniston staring down the camera, and she had us captivated. We're eating out of the palm of her hands. Chip, we learn, has lied about having COVID, but he accepts he most likely has it now. Alex gets emotional about death and she thinks when you die, that's it. She doesn't have a faith. But she becomes a modern-day Shylock, a Shakespearean tragedy. Just remember, I was a kid like anyone else, took my first steps like anyone else. I just had the audacity to want to be on TV and try to entertain and inform you. Who's your tailor sleeping with? Is he a good guy? Does it matter if your pants fit? I'm done apologising for myself, she says. And Aniston is brilliant. But I did wonder, at what point did Alex ever apologise for herself? And it does matter if you're supporting unethical people, no matter how good they are at their jobs. That's why anyone can go to prison. It's not decided on how good you are at your job. So, surprise, surprise, Alex is against cancel culture. Unfortunately, the whole show is against cancel culture, so it doesn't ring true to me, because cancel culture feels like a myth to me. You don't get to live without consequences, and the people who claim to be cancelled always seem to be saying it on a national platform, just as Alex is here. The show has taken a very specific opinion this season, much more so than in season 1, and it hasn't always sat well with me, so I'm not surprised it's ended on this note entirely. Across town, Bradley is emotionally reunited with her brother, and Corey is lamenting the COVID crisis while standing in the reception of a busy hospital emergency room. The final episode of the tricky second season kind of peters out after some wonderful highlights. It was actually a half-decent episode, and there were stakes and there was energy, and it all just came about 5 episodes too late. How much more interesting could this whole season have been if we had spent more time on the brink of COVID, with danger and stakes and potential loss of life? There is more actual story in the final episode than in much of the rest of the season. All the main characters end in different locations and in different emotional places though, because the season has been disjointed and unconnected. There was no overarching storyline. The show had no forward momentum and it suffered for that, but there was also beautiful pools of writing, flashes of incredible potential, and some remarkable acting that all just lacked a universal direction and a flashpoint finale. I think we have deepened our connection to these characters. If the show gets picked up for another season, I'd want to see a more fleshed out world and a tighter connection to the job of sharing the news. I want to see Bradley and Alex together. I want to feel on slightly more stable ground with fewer red herrings and dead ends. What happened to the lawsuit, to Fred's payout, to Alex's book, to Eric? Can we be bothered to come back to these unanswered questions next season? Or do we want an entirely new plot, a new direction? Can Stella step out of Corey's shadow? Will Mia start to own the show and get some agency beyond reacting to the world around her? Until then, I'll be off winning the cosmic lottery. Follow me on Twitter. Please do like, comment and subscribe, and let me know your feelings. Thank you to everyone who's watched my reviews from the bottom of my heart. I'll see you later. And until then, let's keep talking telly.